So just to wrap it up, you've built a software as a service business. You've done it from a remote city in Queensland, in a not a large country, Australia, and you started without knowing much about software. So what are some of the main lessons and tips? What are some of the tips you could share with our audience that you think they could take away and think about whether they're an existing business or whether they're thinking of starting one?
We've talked a lot of, if we played bingo word today, we'd probably both have an empty sheet. But I think resilience is such an overused word, but underestimated word. I think resilience in regards to knowing that it's not going to be easy, that it's not someone else's fault if they're not buying your product. I think there are going to be mistakes, and mistakes sometimes cost money. Having a team that is focused and set on the same prize is really important, because again, development versus sales, is always going to be tension in there between, which one runs the game. And I think that the key thing is that there's no rule book. There's no path. Like, I can look at companies that look and sound similar to ours, but we've both gone on different journeys. And I think that's the important thing is to not get locked into comparing yourself with another company. I mean, we grew up right next to Safety Culture, which is a fantastic story in Australian software. And someone like a Luke Kinnear is an amazing CEO that is focused, but very different story to ours. And there's some things you could pull out and say they're the same. But I think if you get focused on looking at someone who looks like, sounds like, I think it's a dead end path, and that comparison can be gut wrenching. And I think that's also the hard part when you then talk about raising capital, is that somewhere you're always trying to be, forced into some sort of go gauge, no go gauge, and that might not always work. So I think the key part for me is being resilient, being able to listen to markets, being willing to change. And we probably, through COVID, we didn't quite pivot, and I probably don't like using the word pivot on that case, but we certainly looked at how do we actually stay more resilient and more relevant. How do we actually listen more, and how do we just not always just say that we know best. We need to keep listening to the market, and know that no one's going to do it for you. You have to get up every day and do it again.
Right. They're very wise words, Joe, and thank you so much for sharing your story.